Toronto. A lot of people trying to tell you what they think it's going to be like, or just how much they like hockey. It's a lot different here than like Arizona.
I don't know anyone who's ever had a path to the NHL that's done it the way he did.
The last 2 years have just been crazy.
If you don't have the Phoenix Coyotes and he doesn't go to a game, maybe he's playing baseball or another sport.
I think it's important to make the most of it and definitely enjoy every minute.
Toronto proud to announce Auston Matthews.
We played maybe 4 times this summer together. It's just not fun, like having your little sister beat you at things. She doesn't really trash talk me. She knows she won't get a ride home if she does.
Home. Scottsdale, Arizona. A different kind of hockey country. For the first time in what seems like a long time, Auston Matthews' summer is his own.
I love it here. It's where I grew up. It's where all my friends are, where my family lives, and so I love coming back here and just spending time at home.
This summer has been great. Having him home, seeing him laugh, relax, play with his sisters. It's been great.
Her friend embarrassed me and my friend when we played 2-on-2 together. I didn't talk to her for a couple days.
Auston was born in San Ramon, California, 45 miles from San Francisco. The Matthews' middle child, wedged between older sister Alexandria and younger sister Brianna. His family moved to Arizona's Valley of the Sun when he was only a few months old. And it was in that unlikely setting that his passion for hockey emerged early on, even though, for his mom at least, it was an alien sport.
I was born and raised in Mexico, and I never thought I would be living in another country, first of all. When I met my husband, obviously, and I had to move to the United States, it was not easy. I knew when I moved to the United States that hockey was a sport, but that's all what I knew.
When I met Emma and we were living in LA, that was when, Gretzky and came over to the Kings and all that. So, we got hooked on that excitement and we started watching the games and following that.
The Gretzky trade set off a chain reaction that, in 1996, brought the NHL to Phoenix. Brian's brother Bill immediately became a passionate fan of the new team in town.
My uncle had season tickets, so he was kind of the one that introduced me. That's where it all started.
My husband and my husband's brother used to take him to see the Coyotes. I think they tried to give me a break, taking him into the games.
I was really young, maybe like 2 or 3. Just remember being loud, and unfortunately my uncle passed away when I was about 3.5, 4.
He had cystic fibrosis, and he didn't get to spend that much time with him before he passed, but yeah, they had a good time together.
His Uncle Bill's love of hockey made a lasting impression on Auston.
When he was 4, we thought it was a good idea to give him some lessons.
We gave all of our kids the opportunity to play 2 sports. We didn't care what 2 you choose. And his first choice was hockey. He went down and play hockey and baseball. Okay, perfect. Here we go.
Junior Coyotes goal scored by number 34, Auston Matthews. Time of the goal is 4:06 of the first period.
Naturally, Auston grew up idolizing Coyotes, especially Shane Doan and Daniel Briere.
Now Briere back. Oh, what a move there. And he scores. Briere, a brilliant move.
I loved him. I loved Shane Doan. Those were kind of my 2 guys. And I got to know Danny a little bit. I just loved the way he played. He was a smaller guy, and he was just fun to watch. He played with such passion. But yeah, him and Doan were kind of my 2 guys that I love to watch. So this is where Aussie Ice used to be. It was kind of where I grew up playing hockey and spent a numerous amount of hours here. I'd have a bunch of jerseys, and then I'd just kind of fill in for whatever and just basically play hockey all day.
How old were you when you were skating here?
I was like 6. I skated here like literally every day, probably until I was 11 or 12.
Welcome back. Sorry we don't have any ice.
No, it's all good. It's all good. This place looks cool though. Looks like it's gonna be pretty awesome. If I ever want to rock climb, I know where to come.
Minor hockey in Arizona wasn't like minor hockey in Canada. There wasn't much ice, there weren't many players. Sometimes it was hard to even put together a team.
10 years ago, hockey for me in Arizona was pretty much similar as in Mexico.
Back then, it was usually when you picked a team, it was whoever showed up. It's not like football or baseball. It's quite a commitment. It's quite a financial burden on parents.
Most of our tournaments were, in the Detroit, the Chicago's, Canada, the East Coast, kind of those areas.
Sometimes, to find appropriate competition, he had to change uniforms, and in one case, to change nationality. Auston's youth skating coach hatched a plan with a Pee-wee team from Kharkov, Ukraine, to showcase his talents on minor hockey's biggest stage.
I got a phone call from one of my Ukrainian coaches I know, and called me and said, "Do you have somebody who can help us in the Pee-wee Quebec tournament? But it needs to be really good player." I said, "I have in mind somebody."
In order to play hockey down here, you're going to be a little different than everybody else. If you're going to play on teams and tournaments that are good, you're going to have to find unique ways to do it. And obviously playing for the Ukraine is pretty unique.
Auston's heritage also set him apart from his hockey-playing peers.
I'm obviously proud of where I come from. My mom being Mexican, my dad American. I've always embraced it. And it's definitely pretty unique.
In Arizona, his friends and teammates all know him by a nickname that is a nod to his Mexican roots.
It's Poppy. For me, it's always been Poppy.
It's just what they've called me ever since I was younger. It's kind of always been my nickname.
We had a game. My wife, I see her over, she's talking to some kids, and she comes over and she says, "I can't find Auston. I'm asking all the kids. They're not talking to me. They're ignoring me." So I walk over. I'm like, "All right, guys, where's Auston?" And they're all looking at me. And this little kid in the back kind of raises his hand. And I'm like, "Yes, what, where's Auston?" He goes, "Who's Auston?" And then it dawned on me, everybody called him Poppy. I'm like, "Where's Poppy?" And they all threw him over the bus. "Oh, he's back over here." Perfect example. Everybody at the rink only knew him as Poppy. They didn't even know him as Auston.
I love Russell Westbrook, one of my favorite athletes. He's just kind of one of those people that's different, unique. I like his style. I don't think I'm gonna walk into practice wearing like some of the stuff he wears and think I'm gonna get away with it like he does. But I don't know. Maybe when Leo Komarov's not there anymore and he doesn't make fun of me every day.
Arizona wasn't a place that anyone expected to find the next great hockey player. Even insiders didn't know much about Auston until he was invited to join the U.S. development program.
You get the roster, you see the guy from Arizona Bobcats, and you just think like, you want to count him out, but I've never even heard of Arizona Bobcats.
You almost think maybe it's a typo, that he's not supposed to be from there, maybe he just spent a summer there or something.
I kind of had a chip on my shoulder wanting to prove something because, they come out with lists of who they think is going to make the team and whatever, and I don't think I was on any of those lists, and that didn't really bother me because nobody really seen me play, but it's definitely gave me some motivation.
In Matthews' first year with the team, he suffered a serious injury.
It was our second game of the year. I kind of got the puck and I tried to kind of avoid a hit and went knee on knee with the guy, and I broke my femur. I was out for about 3 months.
When he heard the news, one of Auston's idols decided to reach out.
I spoke to him on the phone when he'd hurt his leg, and I'd kind of done a similar, I'd blown out my knee when I was 17, kind of the same, and so we just talked a little bit about not to worry and just, it'll happen quick, it'll be over quick, you'll be back to going wherever you want hard and having fun.
By the end of his second year with the national program, Matthews had set scoring records. Still 1 year away from the NHL draft, he could look ahead to two traditional options: junior hockey or the American college system. Instead, he and his family rejected conventional wisdom and opted for a very different path: playing a year of professional hockey in Switzerland.
I love the individuality of it in a sport where so many people kind of view there's one way to get from A to B, that they found a detour and that it was something different. I mean, the more you learn about him, it makes a lot of sense because his whole path has been different.
He knew he wanted to be there because that was going to be the most challenging and in the area he could learn the most and play at the highest level he could play at.
Matthews avec de la vitesse sur le côté, le décalage, le puck qui lui revient dessus et il touche au puck pour le 3-2, son premier but, Auston Matthews.
I'm pretty lucky it worked out. It's definitely an experience. If I have to do it all over again, I would.
Auston's mother, Emma, spent the year in Switzerland with him.
Auston traveled a lot, since he was little because he had to compete. So when I went with him, it was great because I could spend time with him. I call it like we reconnect as a son and mother.
New country, different language. Pretty stressful year in terms of, just it's your draft year and all the stuff going on around you, and it's just amazing to have her over there with me.
Matthews led Zurich in goals and finished second in the league MVP race. Heading into the draft, the consensus was that he would be the #1 pick.
There was no doubt in my mind they were going to take him. I know some people were trying to create like this Laine Matthews controversy, who should go 1 or 2, and Laine's a great player, but I don't think Toronto ever wavered on who was going first.
Toronto proud to announce from Zurich, Auston Matthews.
We knew Auston was going to be drafted, but we never expect anything until it's for sure. So when they called his name, it was a moment that I will never forget.
Love you. God bless you. All right, good job. I love you.
It was a mixture of relief, of happiness, and to see the passion there, even in Buffalo, with all the people excited that they were going to select our son, meant the world to us.
Auston, congratulations. Can you describe the unique moment you had with your family upon hearing your name selected by the Maple Leafs?
Well, yeah, it was a dream come true. They've done so much for me, a lot of sacrifices, for me to get to this point. So, they've been a huge part in this. So it was a very special moment. I mean, there was like one point in time where I wanted to quit hockey when I was a lot younger, and like my dad always told me, like if I wanted to like quit hockey today and like play chess or do whatever, like he would support me, do anything to help me be successful, and that's just the way he was. And then I never ended up quitting hockey, obviously.
I just want passion. If you're going to go for it, and this is the sport, then just give me all you got. His heart was in hockey. Always has been, always will be.
Like anything, your dad's kind of, like your best friend, the guy you look up to and, kind of lean on for support and everything. But, I mean, both my parents have been unbelievable.
Auston calls you his best friend. How does that make you feel?
Very good.
It's the best compliment you could ever get from your son, isn't it?
Can't think of a better one.
He's definitely been there for me, and nobody knows me better than him. He's been an unbelievable father to me and a great friend too.
You see a guy go first overall to Toronto, you kind of root for him because that's a tough market to play in.
I think that he said a statement right away.
I don't think you realize how big he is when you're watching him on TV, but he's like a man.
He's just dangerous from everywhere.
He's one of the best in the game already.
He's definitely the whole package.
The future's going to be bright for him.
He's got a poster of Muhammad Ali that kind of sums it all up, and I would be paraphrasing it, but Muhammad Ali says, I hated everything, but I did it because I wanted to be great.
I've had that in my room for a while. It just says he hated every minute of training, but nothing's better than being a champion, so that's for sure like my favorite quote of all time.
Matthews actually made his debut in Toronto, playing for a team that had never existed before and might never exist again. The young guns of Team North America in the World Cup of Hockey.
Matthews in front, he scores! Auston Matthews' first big goal in his new home.
You saw how good he was And I remember fans were sitting there saying, if that's what we're going to get, I can't wait to see this guy in a Leaf uniform.
The expectations for his first NHL game were naturally high in a hockey town, starved for a winner. But no one would have predicted this.
Everybody kind of remembers their first game, their first goal and everything, and unfortunately had a pretty special first game.
His first NHL goal, Auston Matthews.
First goal was obviously very excited because we were like, okay, he scored in his first game, it was nice.
Just like everybody hopes for, they want to score and kind of get the big monkey off your back.
This is Matthews, gains control. Trying to find some room. Oh, great work. He gets free, shoots, scores! What a goal! Auston Matthews with his second goal of the game.
It's unfortunate that, I end up being on all these commercials now, being scored on and being stripped by the puck.
Puck out in front, Matthews scores! A hat-trick!
Even sometimes you surprise your mom.
Third one, I didn't know it was him. Kadri's dad next to me, and he said, wow, Auston had a hat trick. And I turned and said, that's right, it's a hat trick. So from there, I started crying, It was very emotional, very excited to see that.
I remember looking at the Jumbotron and seeing his face, and there was like, is this happening? I can't even believe this is happening.
Nylander moving in, works it across in front, he scores! Matthews! You are looking at the first player ever to score 4 goals in an NHL debut.
The fact that there weren't a lot of teams playing, so his peers could watch it, and the fact his peers were getting excited about it, that added a whole other layer of, this is a wow moment.
Everyone in our room was buzzing about how he'd already had 2.
Hossa came in, I think he said Matthews has all 3 goals. And my first reaction was like, yeah, right. He's like, no, I'm serious, he's got all 3.
All the boys from Winnipeg were texting each other like, is this legit?
1, that's good, his first game, and then 2, good for him, and 3, that's a great memory, and then 4, just couldn't believe it.
At a certain point in my head during that game, I'm like, get me out of here. I was fortunate enough to get him to sign my goalie stick from that night. He made a nice little caption on us. Makes me giggle every time I look at it. It said, thanks for, in quotations with FOUR, making my first game memorable or something like that. It's neat.
It was crazy. It's kind of one of those things you don't really remember. It happened, and it's like you weren't even there. You were blacked out. But it was insane to me that it just kept happening and over and over and over. That's almost like a dream.
When we met after the game, he walked up, and there was literally almost no words. We were all looking at each other like, I don't want to wake up. What an unbelievable start.
I just gave him a big hug, and we kind of just looked at each other like, did that just happen? My mom was crying and everything, and she gets pretty passionate and emotional during games and stuff. So that was pretty neat.
My favorite hockey player is Auston Matthews. He's from Arizona, which is really, really cool, just like me.
The next date Auston, his family, and every hockey fan in Arizona had circled on their calendars was December 23rd.
It's going to be pretty special, to play at home, have a lot of family and friends here. It's definitely special coming back here and, playing the team we grew up watching.
The night that Toronto came in town, we canceled everything. Our entire association was in attendance watching Auston play.
Seeing all the signs and seeing the youth hockey jerseys all those kids were wearing that I've worn before, it was a pretty special moment.
Matthews will step back in, got it up, crowd in there, scores! Matthews picks up an assist, and the Leafs take the lead.
It was kind of exciting in the fact that here's a kid coming back to his hometown first time. It's kind of a celebratory kind of feeling in the arena, and that was something that always makes it more enjoyable.
This is it. It's where we play hockey.
What a year. 40 goals, the outdoor game and the all-star game, leading his team back to the playoffs and almost to a first-round upset. To top it off, the Calder Trophy, the first Leaf to win it in 51 years.
My family, my parents, thank you guys just for everything you've done to me just to get to this point. Wouldn't be here without you guys. Last but not least, the City of Toronto, Leafs Nation. You guys are the best fans in the league, so thank you.
On the ice, Matthews is naturally the center of attention. Off the ice, he's also trying to make an impact, but away from the spotlight. His inspiration is the man who introduced him to hockey, his Uncle Bill.
Auston pays it back in ways that he feels will honor my brother and what he did and his uncle.
He had cystic fibrosis and ended up passing away when he was, I think, 30 years old. I know him and my dad were super close growing up.
The interesting thing is the gene for cystic fibrosis was discovered in Toronto at Sick Kids Hospital.
Spent a lot of time with the Sick Kids Hospital last year. Had a pretty good relationship with a lady that kind of runs everything down there, and we go in there as a team, and then I went there a few times individually.
The parents want to see their kids smile. They have to go through so much with their cystic fibrosis treatments. They miss a lot of school, they're hospitalized frequently, they take a ton of medication. So to be able to meet somebody who's really giving them that kind of focused attention just makes them feel special.
We tried to raise our kids in a certain way, with certain values and things. And one of the ways we told them the best way to judge character is to see how people treat other people that can do nothing for them. And we tried to instill those lessons with our kids.
Here's a humble guy who has obviously been very well brought up, who is here at Sick Kids because he wants to be, not because he thinks it's an obligation, that he's here to really provide some reassurance for the kids.
Kids who have breathing disorders like cystic fibrosis come in, one of their regular tests to see what their baseline is and how they're doing is they have to breathe out, take a huge breath in and breathe out as hard as possible for as long as possible into this tube. And the kids don't like doing it. So the director of that area asked him, would you consider doing this? We think it's going to inspire and motivate the kids and make them not feel upset about having to do it. He very graciously said yes to it.
Go, 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 one more second.
Being able to spend time at the Sick Kids Hospital and just kind of have a little effect on their life and their situations. I think that's kind of the biggest honor I think you can have. I mean, obviously there's like a Stanley Cup, there's the Olympics, being able to play in NHL, but I think to be able to have that kind of effect on a kid, that's what it's all about, I think.